It's a Monday, so you know it's Cray News with Kay on a Monday. Kay Smythe, of course, she's a news and commentary writer from Daily Caller. You see her on Newsmax all the time. She's here on my show all the time and always brings the goods. Kay, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm so good, Joe. How are you?
I'm living the dream. I'm getting it done. There's so much going on in media. Let me ask you this. As somebody in the media, and you have been a journalist since you were just a child, and you've got all these degrees, and you're a very, very smart lady. I wonder, are you a media watcher like I am? Like, I can't wait to see what unfolds, what happens here with the Tucker Carlson situation, which I think Fox really, really underestimated how important this guy was to the viewers. I mean, they're seeing 1/3 the ratings they used to. Do you watch it like I do, going, man, what's going to happen here?
Oh, I'm so ready. I love watching all of this chaos play out. It's not just, I guess I don't love the situation because at the end of the day, I do truly feel like they are silencing Tucker on purpose.
Agreed.
And, when everything kicked off, I was very cagey about it. Like, I didn't even mean to do this, Joe, but I made myself a cup of tea with one of my work mugs.
For those who can't see, it's a Tucker Carlson mug.
Mugs. And for those listening, there is a picture of Tucker Carlson on the mug.
Yes.
Along with the company logo. But no, I started watching. I was very careful about what I said publicly after all of this happened because no one really knew what was going to happen next. There was a lot of confusion, but also that was kind of pushed on by a lot of silence from both parties.
Right.
But that's just not the case anymore. People are furious. At the end of the day, Tucker Carlson was the only person on prime time who was willing to go out there and tell the stories that needed to be told. He had more power and more sway. He's one man with more power and more sway than pretty much the entire federal, every three branches of the federal government. It's an insane amount of power.
Yes.
And so I'm not surprised that they've silenced him. But I'm just sitting here watching it all play out at this point. I have no idea what's going to happen next. And my job is literally to try and predict the future.
Right. Well, I've got a couple of things I want to throw at you, and I appreciate your take on it. It's Kay Smythe. Go to kaysmythe.com. And Smythe is with an E at the end because she's all fancy. So let me throw this out at you. You've got Media Matters and this doofus, Matt Gertz, who kept on releasing these in-between takes or secretly recorded things of Tucker Carlson, all of which humanized him, made him look more like the common man. None of it hurt, right?
None of it hurt. Actually,
but you had
one of my colleagues wrote how badly it backfired.
Oh, absolutely. But I don't think Media Matters just had that. I mean, when I had Megyn Kelly on last week, she said Fox is releasing it. She actually said some woman's name, Irina Briganti, is releasing these videos to Media Matters. But over the weekend, Cage, see if you could put all this together for me. Over the weekend, Fox News puts a cease and desist on Media Matters from releasing any more videos that many assume came from Fox. What am I looking at here?
So I heard a rumor. I don't know where I heard this rumor, and it's very much just a rumor. There's nothing there's no grounds for this. But I heard that it was someone, oh God, I can't even remember the name of the company, but it was something to do with that company that just sued Fox over something to do with the election.
Dominion.
I didn't follow that
Dominion.
story. I didn't track that story.
Yeah.
I've heard rumors that it was someone from Dominion. I've heard rumors that all of these videos were deep fakes, and honestly, they kind of look like deep fakes. I've heard.
Well, he hasn't denied them. He hasn't denied that it's him. So I don't know. But why would Dominion get involved when Dominion publicly has said we had nothing to do with Tucker Carlson getting fired?
I think at this point, it is the silence that's just breeding these rumors. I also cover, for those who read my Daily Caller stuff frequently, they'll know that I write a lot about the TV show Yellowstone. And there's been a lot of off-screen drama going on with Yellowstone.
Yeah,
and no one really knew what was happening with it. There were rumors swirling that one of the lead actor got someone pregnant on set, that he was going to be quitting the show, that there were all these fallings out with the writers, that there's going to be all these spin-off series, there's going to be this, there's going to be there's 6 months of just no one knows what the heck is going on, but here's all the crazy spaghetti that we can throw at the wall. Yeah. And the exact same thing is happening with the Tucker Carlson situation. So I just really want everyone to kind of almost be in the same boat as us, really, Joe, because even though we work in the media and we're sort of surrounded by these people, it's a very small group of people who actually make up conservative news media. But I think we all just need to kind of like hold tight and just see what happens next.
But we want to know. Come on, we want to know what's going to happen. I mean, let me ask you this. And again, you may not have any inside information on this, but he's going to get $30 million for the next year and a half if he doesn't do anything, because he's got a pay or play contract, which means either you let him do the show, play, or you pay him for not doing it. Do you think he's going to breach? I mean, if I'm him, I breach. You can't take my living away. You can't take my presence off the air. What do you think?
I don't know, because I come at this from two different biases, right? I come at this from the perspective of Tucker has worked incredibly hard to get to where he's at. He knows he has sway. He knows he has influence. And there's part of me that's like, if he doesn't exercise that, then he's literally doing a disservice to the American people. But the American people, I mean, I guess they technically voted for him with their viewership.
Yes.
But he's not an elected representative. He's just another person in entertainment, like so many others. And if I was in his situation, because I don't know if this is something that I'd necessarily talk about publicly, but like, I have no interest in having my own show. I'm not that bothered about being on TV. A lot of the people I know, other than you, Joe, and a handful of very close friends who you'll see me on TV with regularly, like a lot of people that work in the media are just really sad. Like, it's not a fun place to work. It's very ostracizing. It's kind of lonely. It's highly competitive. It's very hard to find decent human beings that also work in this field. And that's why I'm deliberate with who I work with. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for this attention.
Right.
But the fact that I get to go on TV, go on radio, go on your show and write about and talk about the things that I care about, I'll do it. But if I was offered a lot of money to do something completely different or to do nothing at all, I would still always write. I would always have the compulsion to write. And if my friends ever asked me for anything, you guys know that you're going to get it.
Right.
But maybe Tucker will just take this time off. I mean,
I'll say this.
Nothing.
I get what you're talking about, and it makes sense to sit it out and go fishing. I get it. But we've got a very important election next year. And this contract, the way it sits, would de facto take him out of the mix completely heading into 2024. And I just don't think he would do that.
I don't think ethically, morally, he should do that. And that's, I say that that is my opinion. That's not the opinion of the Daily Caller, which was like co-founded by Tucker. So I have to be super careful about this. But no, I think he does have a responsibility at this point.
Right.
But he can do it any way he wants. I mean, I just look at the success of like so many different people that have gone off and done their own thing and have created their own outlets. Right. I mean, like I have a friend who founded an outlet down in Florida, and now he's the go-to outlet for the DeSantis team. He gets all these exclusives. I look at someone like a Joe Rogan. Right. I mean, even Alex Jones has huge success on his show, and no one will touch him in the like regular mainstream media.
Right.
So like the fact that Tucker is going to have way more eyes, way more people around him, listening to him, tuning into him, certainly covering the stories and the things that he puts out on his show probably way more frequently if he's not associated with Fox. I know that I will be way more inclined to write about him if he doesn't have a contract with Fox, because I'm more likely to be like, okay, if Tucker's saying this, he's the kind of guy who does his research. He can't be, like, his opinion literally can't be bought. So I'm probably going to write up this hit that he's putting out there. And it just makes everything so much easier for him to scale out what he has already and really implement that good. But then he's got a family. So, and at the end of the day, Joe, I'm all for unconditional love, and whatever Tucker chooses to do with his time, I'm going to, support him in that, because I think that's what you're supposed to do if you're like a good Christian, right? But there's still, I don't know, again, morally, ethically, if he doesn't, he's a leader. And I'm sorry, but like in moments like these in history, all we need right now are good people and good leaders standing up to the tyranny, standing up to these crises and coming out with the common sense solutions. I mean, like, Joe, I feel so lucky. I've got you. I've got a couple of colleagues over at Newsmax. I've got my team at the Daily Caller. Like, I have people that I get to surround myself with every time who exhibit that kind of leadership, who tell the stories that need to be told. But you are no longer going to get that from Fox. You
Definitely
never
not.
did get that from anywhere else.
Right.
And I mean, I think there's going to be a huge boycott at Fox. I think that's going to be the next big thing.
Well,
Brett Favre,
it's already happening. Well, you bring up Brett Favre. I don't know that matters that a former NFL quarterback says so. I don't think anybody is. If he's still playing for the Packers or for the Jets, maybe it makes sense. But I mean, he's not alone, and the numbers show they're 1/3 of what they used to be at 8:00. I mean, that was just the dumbest move. I don't know how they weren't smart enough to really gauge how bad a hit are we going to take here. You're going to lose 2/3 of your audience, $650 million in value the first day, over a guy you were paying $20 million a year. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's K-Smythe. Go to ksmythe.com. Well, I don't want to leave these other stories sitting here. You've got such great insight into what's happening in Los Angeles and California. First of all, why is hairdo flying around the country in like Alabama and Mississippi? And he's always tweeting about Greg Abbott in Texas. Shouldn't Gavin Newsom fix his own state? Scott Baio now is leaving Los Angeles.
Yeah, Gavin Newsom's an idiot. I'm also not supposed to say stuff
call it
like
hair
that
gel.
publicly, but he is just one of the most grotesque human beings. He's clearly thinking that like Kamala's out and he's going to try and ramp himself up to maybe he'll run for president. Maybe he'll try and cash in as VP. Who knows? Who cares? It's Gavin Newsom. If he wants that spot, he's in exactly the right place in the Democratic Party to get it because that party is the most corrupt institution under the sun. I don't know where he gets off thinking that America would be better if he has more power.
What is he running on? He ruined the state. What exactly is he holding as, hey, look at my accomplishments?
I think we need to talk about the fact that he's got really big teeth. He's got hair.
Come on.
Who knows if it's real, but whatever. Who cares?
Hair gel.
I think he could definitely run on the idea that, I don't know, like the weather there is really good.
Well, I had nothing to do with
that's
him.
like the one thing that he's got going for him in California is the climate. And even then, he's about to go through. Joe, we haven't even really talked about this. California is about to get washed off the map with like the snow melt that's going to happen this year. He's already got crises after crises. Like the reason that we're sort of talking about this today, I sent you my article about Happy Days actor Scott Baio, who's moving out of California. He did a very public tweet about it. His Twitter account is absolutely hysterical. He responds to the trolls, and I'm so here for it. But he cited crime and homelessness. And it's like, Gavin Newsom, dude, you've got the worst crime, the worst homelessness crises in centuries. You've got some of the worst developments and the worst infrastructure in the country. You've got some of the worst drug problems. You also don't have any kind of real practical infrastructure to protect the people that live in your state. You didn't even pipe up about the California storms that killed almost 20 people, if not more than 20 people earlier this year. And now you're about to have mass flooding. Oh, and your state also produces a quarter of the food that feeds America, but you're not going to do anything to protect that either. I could rant about Gavin Newsom all day. You've got to stop me, Joe.
Well, the thing is, while all that's going on and all of what you just said is true, he's in Mississippi acting like he's a civil rights leader. He's tweeting about Greg Abbott in Texas about how bad Abbott is and how much better he would be. He's not running for Texas governor, so I'm not sure why he keeps doing that. But here's a guy that must be so deeply delusional that he thinks he can run and say, look what I did to California. I don't know how he became the governor of California after he ruined San Francisco. I have no idea. I have no clue. But it must be what you said. He's not a bad looking guy, and he's tall and has nice hair. That's got to be it. What else can it be?
Well, he's related to Nancy Pelosi. Right. And I've also heard that he's like one of the stupidest people you'll ever meet. And not like in a kind of jokey way, like, oh, he's so dumb kind of way. Like he literally can barely read. I think that we've talked about this a lot, Joe. There is a trend within the Democrat Party of finding candidates who are stupid enough to be manipulated into doing the bidding of whoever actually runs, things behind the scenes. Like, who's that energy, or environmental woman? Like is it Jennifer Granholm?
Yes.
Who also can barely read. She's a failed actress.
Well, she is. She's actually Canadian. She's from Canada, and then she acted in California. Somehow she got to Michigan, became the attorney general, then became the governor of Michigan, who knows nothing about energy. I mean, not that she knows anything about anything else, but literally, this is the worst pick. If you could have found somebody who knew less about energy than anybody else on Earth, this is the woman. This is who they picked.
Absolutely.
Nothing.
But this is the party trick of the Democrats. If you want to vote, if you want to waste your vote on someone who doesn't care about you, who only cares about their own fame, their own wealth, their own power, and ensuring the essentially the oligarchy that is the Democratic communist takeover of America, then like I don't understand why people can't see what's really going on here, Joe. Like, that's the thing that freaks me out the most, because I
think they're starting to. Joe Biden's approval rating's the lowest ever, 36%. I think they're starting. Most people, Democrat and Republican, don't want him to run again. I think they're starting to wake up. There's something very, very bad afoot in this country, and I think people are waking up. And I think those who voted Biden, who were on the cusp in 2020, would never think of doing it again. After 2 years later, the whole country's in shambles.
The whole country is in shambles. It's like every single thing. But you know what, Joe? Here's some good news.
Okay.
For every Gavin Newsom, I was about to swear then, but for everyone like Gavin Newsom, who really underestimates the American public and who thinks that we are stupid enough to believe anything that he has to say, for every one person like a Gavin Newsom, there are 100 good people.
Yeah.
Like, we've talked about this before on the show, Joe, the sort of great awakening that's happening in this country right now.
Right.
It's actually happening all over the world. We're seeing revivals everywhere from actually California all the way through to Kentucky. We're seeing there was a huge Christian event. I was just reading about it on Million Voices. I want to say it was in like Oklahoma or somewhere like that.
There was a big Christian event that Tucker was actually covering, and he said he was going to go down there and do it live from there. And they asked him not to because they thought that it would actually disrupt what was going on. It was this organic thing where people were coming far and wide and just showing up. And I think it was Oklahoma.
Yeah,
might have been Arkansas, something like that.
One of those. I know that, there was the Asbury revival that I think is like either Kentucky or Arkansas or one of those, because they're literally happening everywhere. Like,
right.
There's some of them happening in North Carolina right now. I've seen them happening in everywhere from South Africa to parts of Latin America. People just getting together in prayer, in God's love, and spending as much time as they can together, right, spreading and sharing that love. And there was this huge event, I believe it was Oklahoma, but it was something like 60,000 students showed up for an evangelical Christian event.
That's awesome.
I think more than 300,000 people tried to get tickets to go. Chance the Rapper came and performed.
Nice.
I think 32 or 3,900 students were saved and baptized at the event. And this stuff is happening every single day, Joe. So for every crazy, awful thing that goes on, there is hope. This awakening is happening. And I just really wish that more young people would realize that the gaps and the sort of holes in their souls that they're trying to fill with like woke progressive ideologies, with the myth of like, oh, DE&I is all for like helping us, or like, oh, trans lives matter. Trans lives literally make big pharma loads of money, and they mutilate and sterilize children.
And big medical,
like,
big money.
Sooner people, like young people, realize that that gap in their hearts is never going to be filled by progressive politics, but it can be filled by his love, we will all be better off. I think that's the one good thing that we can all bank on amongst the crazy.
I'm glad that it is happening, and hopefully we'll keep on reporting about it too. It's Kay Smythe. Go to kaysmythe.com. Check out everything she does. Kate, thanks a million. I always appreciate you.
Thank you, Joe. This was a fun one.
It's always fun. We're back after this. Stay right here.